recording. It's recording now. It's paused again. Now it's recording.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this month's Uncorked conversation series. I am so excited to be meeting with you all again this month. This month's Uncorked is featuring Leah Murphy, and it's hosted by Wine and Cheese Inc. And Wine and Cheese creates safe spaces for professional Black women to whine about their stress or cheese or smile, as we like to say, about our blessings. And through our member-only app and events like this Uncorked conversation, we gather women to have authentic dialogue about topics that mean the most to them. So if you're new to this series, each month we pop the cork on tips and tricks we just can't keep bottled up in the areas of self-care, career, finance, spirituality, and relationships. So I'm thrilled to introduce tonight's speaker, Leah Murphy. I've known her, she's a certified career coach and all of that good stuff that we'll get into, but I've known her for more than 20 years. And I've trusted her for more than 20 years. And you may think I'm being a little biased, so I'm going to read her bio so you know her credentials and that she's legit. So Leah Murphy is the principal certified career coach at Gems for the Journey Coaching LLC. It's she's a career advancement expert located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. She has spent 15 years in corporate America, honing her skills as a thought leader and a coach while molding the careers of talented individuals in a range of fields, including academia, nonprofit, Fortune 500 companies, as well as entrepreneurs. So through her company, Gems for the Journey, Leah provides individual and team coaching services, as well as problem-solving sessions and resume critiques for individuals in all industries, from corporate climbers to nonprofit leaders. And each coaching engagement is an investment in you and is customized to meet the needs of all of her clients individually, with a sharp focus on delivering results, multiplying your investment. So Leah, I'm going to stop talking because I know you got gems. If you all aren't already following Leah on Instagram and then on her podcast, she is always dropping gems there. But I am so happy to have her all to us tonight. So I'm going to stop talking, and Leah, let's go ahead and pop the cork on building a thriving career to fuel your goals and aspirations.
Natalie, you know what? I got to take you with me places. Like when the bio just rolls off, I'm like, you should just walk around with me as my hype woman as I enter rooms. Like, excuse me, Leah's here. Natalie's going to speak.
I love hyping up my friends.
Yes, I cannot get enough of it. Thank you so much. So this is awesome. And I'm really, really excited. I think that I do need screen sharing rights. And then I would be happy to get started on our presentation for tonight. And I'm really glad that these conversations get to be intimate. And as a result of that intimacy, we get the opportunity to really have an exchange that can be thoughtful, right? And really connective. So I'm really looking forward to that. And what I will do is share just a quick presentation. I have a few slides, and the intention of the presentation is really just to facilitate a discussion, right? Our goal here is to not make it ultra formal. We want to make sure that you guys feel like you're getting exactly what it is you need in the midst of our conversation tonight. So I will give you guys opportunities to pop in and ask some questions. I will save time at the end to be able to do that. And I am really, really, really excited to be here and thank the world of Natalie and Wine and Cheese and the excellent work that she's doing in that organization. So it is a pleasure to be with you guys tonight. So the topic of discussion, if we get right into it, is building a thriving career to fuel your goals and aspirations. So when Natalie asked me to talk about, to come on as a purpose partner and to present and have this conversation with you guys tonight, I just kept reflecting, like, it's really powerful for me to think about fueling, right? The fuel that it takes for us to reach our goals, and how it is innately within each of us. So as I was reflecting and like pulling together this material, I was just super inspired and motivated to continue to do this work and to continue the opportunity to work with you guys. So I'm gonna jump in. And what you're gonna walk away with tonight, right? I like to make promises and commitments because I like to be held fully accountable for what I am going to deliver. So you'll walk away tonight with proven tools to build a thriving career from a career coach, me. And then you'll also have some tangible steps that you can take towards your goals and ambitions. Oh, I missed that A there. But you'll also get some good vibes. So the intention here is for us to be able to like kick it and have an opportunity to connect. So I had to start with my homeboy Wale. For anybody who knows me, I am a big fan of conscious rappers, totally into them. And Wale is one of my favorites. So I just quoted one of his lyrics here in his song Ambition. And basically what he's saying is like, he's not pressed for other people's recognition. What he really wants to do is be true to himself, right? And prove to himself that he can win on his own terms. And that's really what success is. Success is us taking the opportunity to seek out our own definition of success and then building our way directly to that. So my guy Wale talks, he has a whole song about ambition, and I mean, it's one of my hype songs. So, you know, everybody has a little playlist of like, you know, you're about to do something big, you're about to do something that's really exciting. And this song is one of the ones that come up. And when I did the title here, Let's Talk Ambition, I think for women, oftentimes ambition can feel like it's a dirty word, right? Like, you know, that the expectation is that you are more passive in the way you think about your career and potentially even your life. And I'm here to just dispel all of those taboos or stereotypes and really empower you to work collaboratively with Wine and Cheese and with Career Gems for the Journey for this opportunity to really celebrate your own ambition and acknowledge it. So I'm gonna pop over to the next slide. So, I mean, we know who the queen is, right? So the intention here was really to start thinking about, you know, we don't show up fully baked. And it takes some time for us to all reach our glow up. So I like to think about no matter where we are in the equation, our glow up is loading. So we're doing the work, we're showing up for ourselves, we're having the right conversation, we're building great relationships because our glow up is loading. We're making all the right investments so that when our time comes, we are fully ready and as fully formed as we can potentially be. So, you know, I just quoted a little bit of Queen Bee's lyrics here, just for a little bit of inspiration, because the vibe has to be good, right? I told you guys at the beginning, we're going to give out some good vibes. And I mean, all of the fierceness that Beyonce is bringing in this is just, you know, everything that I could ever want or need. So I'm going to jump right in kind of a little bit more to the depth of the topic. And I'm going to give you guys 5 concepts that are really important for you to build a thriving career in order to fuel your goals. Because the way I think about career is whatever you need it to be. Career is entrepreneurship, career is working in an organization, career is serving in academia in some capacity. Career can also be, you know, leading nonprofits. All of these things are elements of a career. And I think we have to define that for ourselves. And the way to be as effective in your own career as possible is to show up as your full self. And so here we talk about building self-awareness. And I mean, it sounds corny, right? Like it's probably you've heard it other places, but the more you know about yourself, the better you'll be positioned to be able to succeed in your career. A great way to learn about that is for you to do a self-assessment, right? There's Myers-Briggs, there's DISC assessments, there's a lot of stuff out there, but it's also just to take some time and sit with yourself, to reflect on the things that are most important to you, the things you enjoy the most, the work that you really like to do, where you are fire, where you do a great job and you show up excellently, to be aware of that, because that's your authentic self. That is how you show up naturally. And the goal is to find environments where we have the opportunity to show up as our full self authentically, and that environment to feed us, right? And encourage us to maintain that. So authenticity is everything. So working to build self-awareness is really the key. So the next one, and this is one that I find, you know, I wanted to give some tangible examples, right? And getting your hands dirty is the next kind of principle in really building a thriving career. And what does that mean, right? What does getting your hands dirty actually mean? So the bottom line is you have to do the work, right? In sales, they may say you have to carry the bag, right? In field roles, it's you have to travel. In manufacturing, it may be you have to work in operations, right? But you have to do the work. There's no way that we can escape doing the work, but doing the work is really how you build your own real strong understanding of your organization, of your process, of the dark spots as well as light spots. And you also get a sense of where the opportunities are for you to show up and add your own flavor. So getting your hands dirty can look like taking on ugly projects that other people have shied away from because they thought it's too much, it's not going to work out, so I'm just not going to try, or it's not glamorous enough, right? It's not sexy, right? It's not the thing that everybody's talking about, so I'm going to shy away from it. But the upside, and I give this recommendation to all of my clients to think about it the other way, the upside is it requires you to work hard. And as you're working hard and having that vision, get your hands dirty, right? You're really doing the work. And that upside also means that you're gaining experience. And when you get the results, because I know you guys are, right? Because that's how we show up as Black women in these spaces. When you get the results, they're all yours. Because everybody else shied away. Everybody else was on the other side, not sure that they wanted to put the effort in. And then you did it, right? You turned it around. You got this something that wasn't performing well to perform even better. You nailed it on a client group that otherwise we would not have contacted. You built a relationship in a place that, maybe the business wasn't growing. You did the thing. And now you've crushed it. You crushed that ugly project. People are excited about it. Now they're paying attention, right? Eyes are wide open. So doing that kind of work, getting your hands dirty is where the credibility plus results really come in. So credibility is basically the currency of success. Having strong credibility in your organization, in your community, in whatever the work it is that you do is the currency that really gets more and more doors open. That credibility plus consistent results to drive a business, whether it's your own business as an entrepreneur, or whether it's an organization that you work for in your 9 to 5, or some combination of both, those results really have the opportunity to speak for themselves. And when you multiply that by consistency, showing up every time, and nailing it as your full self, now you're talking about a sincere value that you bring to the organization that is unique to you. And that allows you to have the opportunity to be a part of conversations that others just can't be a part of, right? People can't participate in conversations about broader opportunities, about promotions, about unique projects, about international assignments, about any of those things if they haven't done the work on credibility, gotten the results, and then are able to multiply that with consistency. So as you become valuable to the organization, now you're an asset, and you being that asset gives you leverage. Leverage is my favorite word. I get excited just saying it. It gives you leverage, right? And leverage is how you then can take the opportunity to introduce what you need from the organization because you delivered these things for them. And now let's make sure it's mutually beneficial, right? So your leverage now is I am credible. I have the results. I've developed this consistency. You know I'm fire, right? So you know I'm fire, so you want to keep me. And when you want to keep me, that's going to cost you. It might cost you a lot. It might cost you a little, but it's going to cost you. And that's where the value comes in for you and for the organization. So this one is a tough one, right? So I think that people underestimate how important it is to build strong communication. So don't skip this step. And what's not on the page here is visual communication, right? Which is its own medium, but I was trying to tackle the foundations first because I know a lot of folks I wanted to make this as tangible as possible for folks. So when you're building communication, and you guys will hear that I have little people who are here with me tonight, and this is work from home quarantine life. So I I won't apologize, but I'll ask you to celebrate them with me. So building communication is a critical skill. So don't skip the step. Listen to understand first. Then when you add nonverbal communication, which some of us are better at than others, right? Your body language, your eye contact, your facial expressions. And, you know, I know a lot of us have a hard time managing our facial expressions, but the real OGs have it down pat, right? Managing your poker face or showing emotion when it's totally appropriate. I think the idea that folks have to be like this stoic, you know, well-behaved, regal actor is just not an authentic demonstration for everyone. But being conscious, right, having self-awareness about your nonverbal communication and managing it appropriately is critical. Verbal communication, I think that one is a little bit easier for folks to be able to wrap their head around. But the written side, I'm going to spend a little bit more on the written side. So communication is basically a core competency for anyone to be able to elevate in their career. Whether it's written, nonverbal, whether it is visual, all of those things are just basic foundations. And when you do it well, it adds to the credibility that we talked about on the previous page. So that credibility builds others' confidence in you, right? They can entrust and feel really good that you're going to show up fantastically. And I know the Women of Wine and Cheese, I've gotten to sit in on quite a few of the events that Wine and Cheese and Natalie have hosted, and I know you guys are all fire. So it's a great opportunity for us to continue to sharpen that skill and to make sure that our communication elevates as we elevate in the organization. So what kind of communication? I'll give you guys some real examples. Write clear, concise emails. Take a 10-word sentence and see if you can get it down to 7 words. Be as clear and concise with your language as you possibly can when it's written so that people don't have to do any guesswork when they're communicating with you. There's also this opportunity to send out a recap, right? You guys had a great conversation. We decided we're going to move forward. What are the next steps and who's accountable for those next steps? Really tangible written examples that are essential parts of communication that just often go overlooked. But that credibility that comes with that strong communication is just simply undeniable. And then, you know, just like this opportunity tonight, when you're presenting, when you're in front of people, bring that energy, bring your authenticity, bring your own spice, your own flair. That's what people are looking for. That's why people are drawn to you. Like, sis, they're here to see you. Take the full opportunity to live in that and communicate as honestly and authentically as you can, because that's how people want more, right? That's where people show up to be compelled, right, by how you bring yourself to the conversation and to the presentation. Like, have you ever left a conversation more confused than when you started? I had. It happens to me all the time in corporate. So I would love to have anybody comment in the chat while we're moving through this next section. Have you ever left a conversation and wish you had that 30 minutes back? Have you ever sat through a meeting or sat through a conversation and said, man, I can never get that 30 minutes back. I'm super disappointed. If that's been you, type yes in the chat. It's definitely been me. I'm not going to type yes, but I'll tell you guys now, it's definitely been me. So maybe we'll have an opportunity for a couple folks to come off mute at the end, and we can kind of talk just about the difference in opportunities to retrieve those 30 minutes in some way, because we're going to be the ones building great communication, so we will be able to show up well in those spaces. So this one is one of my faves, super faves. And I just have 2 more, and I will definitely take an opportunity to pause to ask folks for questions. So take calculated risk. And calculated risk feels a little bit itchy, right? Like sometimes it's like, oh man, I need to do the thing that's safe. I need to do the thing that's comfortable because that's working for me. And sometimes that's fine. But if you really are looking to elevate or accelerate your career growth, your business growth, your individual development, seek opportunities to accelerate by taking calculated risk. So it'll look different for everyone because it's based on your own comfort zone. So an example of calculated risk for me, and I'll share with you guys tonight because we're all operating in community together. I actually took a week off from my corporate job in order to do business development for my business. And in taking that week off, I shut my phone off, my work phone, and I have not answered any emails. I have completely unplugged from the organization that I work for, really intentionally. But to take it one step further, what I asked them to do was to nominate me for a program that I wanted to be a part of. I asked them to nominate me to be on the Philadelphia Business Journal 40 under 40 list, for the company to sponsor me and say that I am a woman to watch. I am a 40 under 40 in the city of Philadelphia. And when I had the conversation initially with communications, they were saying, wow, well, we don't really have a process in place to do this, but let us take some time to think about it. So for me, it was a calculated risk, right? Because there's a win-win, I think, for the organization as well as for me. But oftentimes people don't respond well to things that aren't their idea. So for me, the risk was presenting something that wasn't their idea and being honest about what it was I wanted and why I wanted it. So taking that opportunity has really, really allowed me to feel like I am getting a win-win between me and my organization, which isn't that the goal, right? For us all to feel like we're winning, for us all to feel like what we're giving to our organization will be paid back to us in some way. So at the end of the day, the only way you'll grow to reach your full potential is to expand your comfort zone, to take small steps or giant steps out of the places where you feel most safe and take an opportunity to hear yes. We can't hear yes if we don't put ourselves out there. So it's natural to feel a little fear before taking the risk. Let the fear happen and move anyway. There's growth on the other side of that fear. And I don't know if you guys follow Lovey Ajayi-Jones. She is one of the authors that I have kept up with, and she has a New York Times best-selling book right now that is called The Fear Fighter Manual. Now, I don't buy hard copy books anymore because it's 2021, but this is one that I sincerely want to buy and gift to a lot of people. And the reason is it's really this complicated relationship that we have with fear. It's great that we feel it and we acknowledge it because fear is designed to keep us safe. It's designed to remind us that we're alive, right? And that things could change at any moment. So proceed with caution. But fear is not designed to stop us in our tracks. So taking that calculated risk is assessing that fear, feeling it, and then having the right course of action so that you feel good getting to the place of pushing past your comfort zone and really moving past that fear. So number 4 here is take calculated risk. And as we move on to our 5th and final, I'm just gonna see if my screen is pausing a little bit here. Here we go. Too many clicks. So the next one here, and this is for folks who are entrepreneurs. This one is for folks who are working in corporate America. This is for folks who are working in academia, leading nonprofits, students who are in still in their educational realm and trying to grow in that space. Recruit your sponsor. Now, what does that mean? We talk a lot about mentorship, we talk a lot about relationships, but what is your sponsor? And I like to quote Carla Harris when I talk about sponsorship. Carla Harris says, a sponsor is the person who carries your resume into the room. Sponsors offer your name when decisions are being made about who will get the next great thing. They're the ones who are making sure that Natalie Dean's name gets mentioned in rooms she doesn't even know. Conversations are being had about her. So your sponsor is a critical asset, and they are the ones who normally introduce opportunities for you to move out of your comfort zone or to get an opportunity that you didn't even know exists. And a lot of folks have asked me over time, I don't know about it. How do I reach out? How do I go about connecting with a sponsor? Sponsor relationships should be mutually beneficial. If they're mutually beneficial relationships, your sponsor benefits from not only one, knowing where the great talent is in their organization and having a full understanding of, I know where the great talent is And I am talking to people in the organization who are not at an executive level who will allow me to get good, solid, spicy information about the business. The stuff that gets filtered out, right, as it moves up in the organization. So you can provide that for your sponsor. You can be a sincere asset to them. You can help them see blind spots where they otherwise may not have had solid information. You can also let them know how the organization can improve in a tangible way, and then allow yourself to partner with them to drive some of that potential change. So recruiting your sponsor, sometimes your sponsor will just recognize the work that you're doing and look to collaborate with you. But if that doesn't happen, there is absolutely nothing wrong with reaching out and connecting with someone to ask them to sponsor you. And that only works if you've done those other 4 things, right? So we put them in order on purpose. If you've already done the other 4 things, if you're operating in your authenticity, if you're communicating effectively, if you are doing the work, getting your hands dirty, doing some of those, less than sexy projects, and then you put it all together for yourself, you're adding value for the organization, your sponsor is looking for people like you to be able to sponsor. So you've done all this excellent work. Now you're just looking for the opportunity for the right person and you to collaborate on elevating you in your career. You've done the work. You win because you get a sponsor, and they win because they have a great asset in the organization and they have a keen eye for talent. Mutually beneficial relationships are the way that sponsorships can be really, really successful. So I'll pause here just for a second to check in and ask folks, how did I do on the top 3 things that I said we would deliver in this presentation? Did I give you proven tools?
Mm-hmm.
Did we get some tangible steps that you can take right away? And we're going to still leave some time for the vibes, but are the vibes still good?
Yes.
I'm good. I'm excited. I'm doing what I want with people that I want to do it with. So I am feeling excellent, excellent, excellent. So I'll pause here and just take any questions or comments from folks.
I put a question in the chat, Leah. Oh.
Go ahead.
I was going to read them out. You got it, Natalie?
Yeah, because I put a question in the chat about, because you hear a lot about coaches and mentors and sponsors. Could you kind of talk through the difference of how one interacts with either a coach or a mentor or a sponsor?
Totally. So that's a fantastic question. And it happens often, comes up often. So your mentors are people who you have a relationship with that is personal as well as professional. Your mentors, you can kind of use them as sounding boards, ask them questions that you don't feel comfortable asking others. You can have them pressure test your ideas. They can see the good and the bad, right? The intention for the mentor is for you to really be as authentic and transparent with them as possible so they can help you understand what your blind spots are and help you grow in your career. They're not always someone who is very senior in the organization. There's a lot of peer mentoring. There's a lot of one level above mentoring, which is great. Those relationships are really important. Your sponsor, though, tends to be someone who is more senior in the organization. Depending on your organization, executive level means different things to different people. But the goal of your sponsor is for them to not be as close to your work, for them to be slightly removed from what you do, and then to be able to introduce your name for opportunities that you otherwise would not have been introduced for. And then a coach, which is something I'm uber passionate about, is really someone who you are working with day in and day out in the trenches to grow, right? Your coach is helping you with your own personal and professional development. They are helping you to define what success looks like and helping you along the way, guiding you down that path, giving you tools, giving you resources, giving you feedback, giving you exactly what you need that is customized to you in order for you to be successful. And often the question that follows that is, do I need all 3? My answer resoundingly is absolutely yes. I think that it's really important for folks to have a board of directors for their life and for their career. So taking the opportunity to have a coach, have a mentor, and absolutely have a sponsor really is an opportunity for you to accelerate and to drive your career to a place that otherwise you may have been able to achieve on your own, but it would have taken you more time, or potentially you would not have been able to achieve it on your own because you don't know what you don't know. So having a mentor, either a peer mentor or someone at a level above, or are great assets for you to be able to pressure test and to sharpen, right? Thinking about iron sharpens iron, and taking advantage of an opportunity to recruit your sponsor and to source a coach really can be a game changer to accelerate your career.
All right. I'm gonna keep the questions going. Brittany wanted to know, is that a direct conversation in
Is it
regards
a direct conversation with the sponsor?
in regards to setting up the mentors and the sponsors? Is that what you were asking, Brittany? Can we get a little bit more information?
Oh, yeah. So I'm asking in terms of the sponsorship specifically. So, is that how do you establish relationship with the sponsor, and do they, I guess they have to know that they're your sponsor, but what does that look like, right? Like, how do you create that connection and know, like, that's my sponsor, I know that they're going to speak for me, in rooms that I'm not in and things like that?
Normally, the way that I would recommend folks identify their sponsor is someone who is not directly in their vertical, in their organization. So it's not your boss or your boss's boss, your manager or your manager's manager, I should say, but it's someone who knows enough about the work that you do. So for example, a lot of organizations may have opportunities where people will present at a town hall or at a forum, employee forum, or maybe you are presenting just to your larger group or department, and there are 50 people in that department. So oftentimes your sponsor is someone who is sitting on the leadership team for that department. So they're familiar with your work, and you've taken the opportunity to build your own exposure. So as you build your own exposure and you take opportunities to talk about those great results that you've been able to deliver when you took that sticky project, whether it is in a passive way at a coffee station, or whether it's in a really intentional way where you're, doing a recap at a staff meeting that, that happens on a quarterly basis, the person knows enough about your work, but they're also senior enough to be able to actually influence your career in a positive way. So your question was, is that a direct conversation? I think you have to do what's best for you. If you're asking me, and you are, I think it can be a direct conversation, absolutely. It can't be a cold call though. It can't be, you've never seen me, we've never met, you have no idea what work I do, and you have no idea what value I bring to the organization. Will you sponsor me? That's not a reasonable ask, right? That's not a question that anyone is going to sign up for. So it requires you as the individual to kind of always be looking for opportunities for exposure, to connect with people in an organic way. And then if it's not an organic way, asking for opportunities to get broader exposure, whether it's working on a new project, whether it's working on a new launch that your organization is doing, looking for those opportunities, those things that might be a little bit more off the beaten path from your day job, because those are the things that give you exposure. And those are the things that I believe we should be bragging about. And I know we didn't talk about bragging in the content today because it wasn't a fit, but I'm just going to take a little bird walk here. Bragging has gotten a bad rap. I think that bragging is the right thing to do when you have results. I think that bragging is stating facts. And maybe I'll call it stating facts in the future, because I think it has a negative connotation, especially for women, especially for Black and brown women, where, we are kind of coached to be humble and have all this humility about what we do and our value proposition. Meanwhile, our peers can't wait to talk about what they've done, what they've delivered, how they delivered it, how excellent they are, how they deserve a promotion, how they deserve more money. So if we're sitting humble, waiting for the opportunity to kind of get called on, or waiting for the opportunity to be acknowledged, they will never allow you any airtime in corporate America, in nonprofit spaces, in academia, right? I really want to discourage folks from waiting for the opportunity. The opportunity is in the midst of these types of work, where you talk about your results, you talk about the project, you talk about the value that you bring to the organization, and you do it consistently. You're just planting seeds because you're having conversations and you're stating facts. You know, I worked on the project for the New Jersey office, and it was excellent. We did a great work. The team was fantastic. You know, I managed to deliver a 30% increase in our productivity. As a result, you know, we're knocking it out of the park. I'm so excited to do great work, right? That's an opportunity for you to brag, for you to acknowledge your results and to share that with other people. Because if you don't tell them, how will they know? Oftentimes people say like, well, my manager should know what I'm doing, or my vice president should know. I'll tell you a secret. They don't. They don't, and they don't care unless it benefits them. So if you take the opportunity to make sure you're talking about your results and the impact that it has to the business, sponsorship opportunities will present themselves and you can seek them out. Other
I
questions?
think a good follow-up one. Oh. I think a good follow-up to that would be is how can you provide an example for us about that type of engagement, or how you would introduce that conversation?
Yeah, sure. So the way that I would introduce that conversation is first, think about what it is you do that's valuable to the organization. So that self-awareness, think about what it is you do and how you were able to achieve those results. Because the what and the how are the most important elements of being able to recreate results. So once you know what it is you brought to the organization and how you went about it, now the opportunity is to be clear and share it with other people. So start with your peers, start with your coworkers, start with your, people who you collaborate with cross-functionally, start with people who you do work for as like a downstream. So, if you're in communications and you're responsible for external communications, but you're directly talking to the corporate team all the time, let them know. Let them know what you're working on, how excited you are to do the work, and the results, the impact of the business, the money that was saved, the business that grew. Those are the times where you're just practicing, right? You're practicing the opportunity to be able to really communicate your results. And as you practice and you talk more about it, you will feel more and more confident about the results that you bring, and you feel more confident about where you sit in the organization and your value proposition. And then there will be these interactions in organizations where you have a 90-second elevator kind of conversation with a leader in your organization. You guys are walking down the hallway together, or you cross paths at the coffee machine, as I mentioned earlier, or there could even be a time where you're presenting in a big presentation and you only have one slide, right? You only have one slide and maybe you have 3 minutes to present. That's when you make sure you plant the seed of the work that you're doing, because exposure is really what folks need the most of. There's a long tried and true equation around performance. It's PI, performance, exposure, and influence. And that exposure that you really get for other people seeing your work and your value, when you're doing great work, people are going to pay attention because it brings value to the business. And everybody has a quarter that they need to close. Everybody has a result that they need to deliver. So if they know where the great results are coming from, that makes them more equipped as a leader. Did I answer your question?
Yes, of course. We have another question. We wanted to see if you could provide a recap of the authenticity tools.
Sure. I will go back a couple slides. Uh-oh, it went the wrong way. Let me stop sharing for a second, and I will bring back up the authenticity. Okay.
Leah, while you're doing that, I wanted to point out a few things. The first is that you talk about fear, and for many of us, like you mentioned, you hear fear and you kind of clam up. But what helped me was someone described fear as meaning you just need more information before moving forward. So when fear comes up, that just means you need to ask more questions before moving forward. But that's your gut, your intuition telling you, I just need more info. And then another thing you mentioned in terms of finding your sponsor, I wanted to remind everybody that in last month's Uncorked conversation, we talked about building your VIP circle, and it included someone you aspire to be. And so I think Leah's message of finding a sponsor is more confirmation that we need to find people in that quadrant of our VIP circle. So I just wanted to bring that up because, sometimes we hear things and it goes in one ear and out the other, or it sticks in that moment and then life happens and we forget. But for Leah to bring this up just a month later just shows how important it is to have these type of people in your circle. But go ahead, we're back to the tools.
Awesome. So I think the question was about authenticity and how to show up. So the more you know about yourself, the better you're able to position yourself to succeed in your career. So authenticity, it evolves, right? It grows with us. Our ability to show up as our full selves is often sometimes impacted by the environments that we're going into. But it's 2021, right? And I think that now what we're looking for is organizations that recognize the value of who we are. And the more you know about yourself, the more you're able to then, bring differential thinking, bring innovative ideas. So I recommend self-assessments. My favorites are Myers-Briggs, Strength Finder, and the DISC assessment. And I'm happy to share this presentation with you guys afterwards. And I know Natalie is going to publish the video recap. But doing a self-assessment and then really taking some time to reflect with yourself, what am I really good at and what work do I want to continue to do? Because once you're operating from the place where your strengths already exist, then you really have the ability to soar. When you're kind of doing work that is really challenging for you and it's not something that you enjoy, it's hard to show up as your full self because you're doing so much work just to do the work, just to show up. But if you can seek the opportunity to do things you enjoy and get paid for it, obviously that's the sweet spot. But you have to know first, what do I enjoy? What do I want to do? What do I want more of? What types of people do I want to work with? And being able to understand that for yourself. And then that'll also understand what your rub points are, the areas where you feel more friction, the areas that really don't work for you. So that is the self-awareness portion, to bring your own authenticity and to do some self-assessments. And there are a lot out there that are free. Some organizations may sponsor you to do self-assessments. There's also opportunities for you to do 360-degree feedback evaluations if you're trying to be more advanced. But I really think the exercise is about you getting to know yourself and what you want in your career and bringing that to bear.
Wonderful, thank you. We have another question from Terry. How do you suggest we go about building a career plan that gets us to that ring, I think, on the corporate ladder we aspire to be on?
So I think as you define success for yourself, it's really great to have a goal in mind, right? To set up aspirations for yourself so that you're clear of why you're doing this work. To be really intentional about why you take a job, why you work for a company, why you choose this assignment, why you're aligned to continue to do this kind of work. Your why is really important to motivate you to keep going. And you can always work with a coach. I would highly recommend it. I think that doing work around career mapping is something that everyone can take an opportunity to pause. No matter what stage of your career you're in, there is an opportunity to say, what am I trying to get to and how am I going to get there? Because there's a lot of different paths. There's very few career paths that are completely linear, where you're just going vertical all the time. So taking the opportunity to say, I may take this kind of role in this organization because there's a specific skill that I want to acquire, or there's a specific industry that I want to spend some time in because my long-term goals require those skill sets. So a lot of times we've kind of been conditioned, and it's a bummer. We've been conditioned to think that, careers are linear things and that you're gonna go from the bottom left of the graph to the top right of the graph. And for some people that's true, but for most it's not. It comes with some zigzags, it comes with some intentional choices, it comes with some major accelerations, it comes with some, staying put for a little while. So I think working with a career coach is a great starting point. And if you can't work with a coach, I have some great tools that I'm actually going to share with you guys. I have some great tools on my website at Career Gems for the Journey. So I will provide that to you guys. I'm going to share my screen just one more time for you guys to see, because I have something special that I'm introducing just for you guys today. So I have actually just for the first time, drum roll please, I have for the first time written an ebook. So this ebook specifically came out of conversations just like these. And in those conversations, we ended up spending a lot of time with folks talking about, I believe that I should get more money, right? There's a wage gap. We're in Women's History Month. There is an income gap in the Black community. There's also a wage gap in salaries between men and women. And let me know, can you guys see my screen?
No.
No.
Okay. So I'm talking for nothing. I would keep going though. So there is a wage gap. So that wage gap is really driven by, the idea that there are resources that are out there. It's a matter of whether or not we believe that we have access to those resources. So I wrote a book called Winning the Compensation Negotiation. And the goal of this is to give people like us really tangible, substantial tools and steps to be able to go and negotiate effectively, whether that's for more money, whether that's for more vacation time, whether that's for a bigger title, whether that is for more flexible work, you name it. It's whatever your priority is. And taking the opportunity to advocate for yourself is priceless, right? Let's take the opportunity to advocate for yourselves. So this ebook is available on my website on gemsforthejourney.org. It is in the bookstore at gemsforthejourney.org. And I will put, hopefully if Zoom cooperates with me, all the methods that you guys can find me here on this page. So we are on social media, everywhere you could possibly want us to be, or everywhere that I can keep up with. And then we also have a podcast. And Natalie, thank you so much for mentioning the podcast earlier today. We drop episodes on Career Gems for the Journey every 2 weeks. It is available on all listening platforms. If you're an iPhone user, if you're a Spotify user, if you're a Google Podcast user, we are there. And then you can reach out to us via email, or you can actually call us at Gems for the Journey. And you'll probably get me or one of the members of my team who are epic and awesome. I have such a wonderful squad of women who support me in the work. And I have a wonderful squad of people who keep my children occupied so I can do things like this.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing all of that information. And we'll make sure that everyone has it after we finish up this conversation. We had a question about emails and sending concise emails. Any tips that you have for doing that as a Black woman in a majority white space? I think personally, I even relate to this. This is a good question. Thankfully, me and Natalie can send emails and I don't have to be all wordy with, hi, how are you doing? I just send her what she needs. So please elaborate on what you think we would be able to help us. Any tips you have for being able to have that conversation or language we should use?
And that was my question. Thank you, Candace. I just wanted to add some context to that. I feel like as Black women, we add so much upfront flowery language and extra, punctuations to come across as pleasant as possible because we are policed so often for our tone. So do you have any advice for us?
So Natalie, you make absolutely excellent point. right? We are often policed for our tone. That is real, right? When we're operating in majority white environments. I think that there is a certain permission that we have to give ourselves that people are going to have their own perspective, regardless of how you show up oftentimes. But if you take the opportunity to use written communication in a way that not only conveys what it is you want to say, but it also gives folks the opportunity to be invited in. I think that's the combination that really makes written communication powerful. Leaving a door open for further conversation to be had, but sharing all your information as though you respect the person's time who's on the other side. I mean, how many times do you get an email and you see it's like paragraphs of information and you immediately close it? Like, I don't want to read that. I can't right now. Like, I don't have the brain space to be able to do it. So I say things like, framing up your email to be intentional where it could fit on one screen, right? If somebody has to use their mouse to scroll to read your email, it's too long. It should be a conversation. Likely that's a communication that should happen live. Simple things like structuring your emails, where if you are asking people for information, you are making clear what you're asking for in the first 3 sentences. So, hello, ma'am, or not ma'am or sir, we're not doing that. I was thinking about talking to my daughter's principal at school, because I still do call principals and people like that teachers. I give them ma'am or sir because they do really hard work. But in corporate, in the day job, hello, Natalie, I really need your support on this thing today. Give them a deadline when you need their support by, and be clear on what it is you're asking. A lot of times we spend so much time on flowery language and pleasantries that you're at sentence number 5 before you even know what they're asking you for. Like, what am I here for? Why am I reading? So being really clear on that upfront. I like to put it in the subject line, action required by date X for this project. So, for some people that might feel super upfront and it might feel abrupt. But what it also does is it allows the other person, right, if you're respecting their time, to decide, well, I don't need to read this right now. They don't need feedback from me for another 2 days. And I have 25 other priorities that I need to get knocked out. And then the last one, a tip that I often use, is to structure email as best as you can in lists or bullets, right? How do you get it down to the point where you can number the 3 things that you need them to deliver, or number the 3 questions that you need to get back, so that they can skim the email. So make them skimmable so that it's not so much of a chore. So there's some like infrastructure things like that I really, really do recommend people think about. Because if you sit in the other person's seat on the receiver side, structurally, we're all inundated with emails. We're all constantly feeling like, how do I chase that inbox down? How do we get down to, my target is to get down to under 500. Some people who have only 20 emails in their inbox, God bless you, you're a saint. Like come and coach me on that. I can coach you on how to grow your career. You coach me on how to get my inbox down to 50 emails, because I've never been able to accomplish it. But thinking about email from the reader's perspective will compel you to be more concise with your language, and will really benefit you, because you'll get responses faster, because you're not making people burn a whole bunch of calories and do a whole bunch of work in order to get to what it is you want from them.
I kind of had a piggyback off of Natalie's question, because my manager is Black, so I have a really hard time with communication. So going back to what you were saying with her, and I'm very clear and concise on the things that I'm asking, or what the concerns are, and I just have an issue with her not reading everything, or she repeats something that I've already addressed, or things like that. And so, but in addition to that, there's an aggressive tone, and I'm not exaggerating, because everybody else on my team actually agrees that her tone is very aggressive. And it's, trying to understand the difference between, okay, she's being assertive and straightforward, to, no, this is aggressive and a little out of line. Like, I don't know how to minimize my response and my reactions to that, to maintain that my level of professionalism, because the snapback sometimes is just hard. So any thoughts on that?
Listen, we all snap back. And I would say snap back in the email immediately, write all the things that you want to say, then get up, don't send it. Get up, walk away, take a break, take a breath, right? I got some advice a long time ago, especially when it comes to managers who are difficult bosses. Number one, never communicate when you are hungry, angry, or tired. If you are any of those three things, then likely your communication is not going to be something that you would have done if you didn't have those three things bearing down on your brain. If you're hungry, angry, or tired, don't communicate. And I carry that with me 15 years in corporate, and I still don't. If I feel myself energy low, feeling really tired, I will go get a snack. I'll go take a walk. I'll go drink some water. I'll go to kind of reset myself. And that's really self-care. Like, that's just smart, right? The way you described your manager, she sounds rather challenging. So I have tons of respect for your diplomacy and trying to make sure that you have a great relationship with your manager despite her actions and behaviors. And normally, you know, it's a challenging spot to be in, but the way I think to manage it best, and you know, Ontario, feel free to jump in if you, because I see you nodding. So feel free to add to this, but I think the way that you try to address it is for you to focus on the work, focus on the priorities, focus less on her and her needs, because most times that's something that she's dealing with, she's trying to manage. If she's being abusive or disrespectful or any kind of way, then maybe you need to get somebody else involved, and it shouldn't just be a conversation between the two of you. So I would love to talk to you a little bit more, Brittany, maybe offline, so I can understand more about what challenges you're seeing or experiencing. But I would say, you know, as you continue to manage your own feelings and emotions, prioritize your own self-care. Don't respond in times that you feel like you're hungry, angry, or tired. Let that sit, right? Let it marinate. Sometimes just the benefit of coming back after 20 minutes allows you to kind of reset. Ontario, I saw you came off mute. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add to that?
No, I was going to say, I think your answer is perfect. But I know we're running out of time, and Natalie wants to get to Jennifer's amazing question. And I also wanted to say very briefly that we have a careers tribe on the network, and we can certainly continue these conversations in the tribe, because you dropped a lot of good gems tonight.
Oh, thank you. Awesome. All right, what's Jennifer's amazing question? I don't have the chat box open. Do you mind reading it to me, Brittany? Reading it to me, Candace?
I gotcha. When the why has changed because the passion decreases, burnt out, or just not fulfilled, would you suggest a career change this late in life?
Oh, so Jennifer, that's a great question. And I am a subscriber of it's never too late. You're never too old. And it's never a bad time for you to have what it is you desire. So, oh, sorry. That's my children go to bed alarm. It's 9 o'clock. Children gotta go to bed. So I never believe that it's too late. I think that we should normalize finding the parts of ourselves at every age and stage. I think we should normalize starting businesses in our 40s. I think we should normalize finding love in our 60s. I think we should normalize getting in shape in our 80s, whatever the number is. I think we should normalize people arriving at their destination when the time is right for them. I started a business during a global pandemic, right? Pre-global pandemic, but my business has grown tremendously in the last 6 months, and I would have never guessed it, right? It's because it's something that I love. It's because it's something that I'm really passionate about. So I've seen it grow right before my own eyes. But I've also had clients who've gone back to graduate school in their 50s, who are MDs and decide, I don't want to be a doctor anymore. I don't want to practice medicine. You know, I think that I want to spend more time doing creative writing, right? Like, we have to give ourselves the freedom to evolve and to change our mind and maintain our right to have a different opinion, right? To grow and to make different choices. So I'd be happy to talk more with you offline or on the platform as you want to explore that opportunity for yourself. But I would never say it's a bad time. Any other questions, Candace? Keep me honest.
Leah, we are going to actually wrap. Thanks, Candace. We're actually going to wrap because we have made it to the hour. It went by so fast. And we've been in the chat box just going off based on all of these gems that you've dropped in our lap. So thank you so much. I'm glad that first of all, I want to congratulate you for your ebook. I actually started texting people like, oh, Leah got a book, we need this, because you always need help and advice when you're trying to secure the bag, right? So thank you for that. Thank you for sharing that resource. I wanted to remind everybody here and those who will watch later that, and I failed to mention this, but Leah did, that she is a purpose partner of Wine and Cheese, which means we have special access to her. She is one of our career coaches, and you all know that being a member of Wine and Cheese has its perks. So as a part of your membership, you do get one free coaching call. If you go to the app and look under coaches, you will find Leah and her information. You do get to choose one complimentary coaching call from that list. So if career coaching is what you need, please reach out to Leah ASAP. You see her contact information here on the screen. She's highlighted as a purpose partner on our social media and on our website. So if you ever, for some reason, can't get to her through us, there are other ways to find her and to connect. But I want to thank you, Leah, so much because, you know, Leah and I have known each other since high school. And, you know, my mom has known her since we were 15, 16 years old as well. And we're over here in the chat like, she is so good. Because you know your friends in one aspect, but when they shine in other, especially in their professional realm, it's like, girl, okay. So I want to thank you so much for sharing you and for, you know, taking notes and along your journey to be able to share them with others. I think that's amazing. So again, everybody, please find Leah's information in our app, on our website, on our social media channels, because my goodness, if today wasn't clear, it wasn't clear that she is absolutely qualified. I can't imagine what else you would need.
Natalie, can I give a testimonial? Can I give a testimonial real quick? So many of you don't know, but some do know, I retired as a senior executive at a Fortune 10 company a number of years ago. And I was sitting here taking notes, you know, on what Leah was saying, because I lived what she talked about. And so she nailed it. And so I just highly recommend Leah. I mean, she's like niece Leah, but she's also, watch her career. She's taking off. So Leah, stay in touch. When you blow up, don't forget the little people, okay?
I love y'all. Legit love you people. Legit. Thank you guys so much. Natalie, thank you for sharing your platform. I try to make sure I say that every time I have an opportunity, right? I love that you created a platform and you bring in speakers and people who you see value in. And I think that the more we do that, the more we make tables for ourselves, the more we will elevate and grow as a community. So thank you for sharing your platform.
That's absolutely it. So with that said, I hope everyone has a beautiful evening. I raise a glass to each of you. I appreciate you all for your questions and Leah for your insight, and we will see you all next month. Good night, everybody.
Bye, ladies. Take care.
Good night, everybody.